Thank you for staying to the end of the day. When we draw together for a better world. My name is Paige Dansinger, and I'm the founding director of Better World Museum and a Facebook Community Leadership Fellow. Better World Museum is located in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're an 8,000 square foot museum in the very center of our city. And we use participatory murals, an indoor edible garden, maker space, and AR, VR to empower our community with creative technology. I want to share with you the evolution of my work and a couple of projects with augmented reality. And they started about a year and a half ago, shortly after an exhibit that we did using virtual reality. Before I had any experience with an Oculus or a headset of any kind, I had developed an iPad drawing program for my iPad, and with it I had drawn 65 survivors of domestic violence like myself, and we created an empathy experience in virtual reality using Unity and Maya and my iPad. And through this process, in our first museum experience, raising vulnerable voices in this way, it showed us that everyone among us has vulnerabilities. We're all survivors or living through losses and traumas. And my experience as a survivor and my trauma made me want to lean in more to work with all communities facing traumas. And in Minneapolis, it's really cold. It's really cold. And Better World Museum is located in like a retail mall in the center of the city, and it's right in between corporate headquarters and bank headquarters and government centers. And about as equal distance within the same block, there's about 4 homeless shelters and communities and teen centers with many of our community members who are really struggling in the city and the climate in which we live in. It's really cold in the winter. So I decided that the museum would act as a rainbow bridge, and we would create these indoor edible gardens and paint gardens together. And that's just what we were doing when I downloaded my first augmented reality app on my phone, which was Zappar. And I'll demonstrate how we used that. First, I put up big tarps, and we were creating a public art project that was in an empty storefronts in Minneapolis. And so we created painted gardens and added, let's see if this, so people are painting gardens, and then we added augmented reality. You saw one kid there drawing on an iPad, right? And we had lots of kids and people drawing, and we had these Zappar codes in which people could scan. We had window clings on the windows, and people could scan the Zappar code and then watch photos, videos, and at that time we had just gotten an Oculus, so we were starting to draw flowers and gardens with people, visitors, and at evening events. And so people are starting to now draw in VR and posting about it, and this is just kind of what it looked like all not last summer, but the summer before in Minneapolis downtown. And so this activity people loved doing it, right? And so here are some of those murals. We just kept doing them and adding Zappar codes to them, and people could scan, and we would have visitors who then really stepped up and wanted to participate more, like Rebecca, who was 13 at the time when she announced to me during one of those family day painting sessions that she was a specialist in nitrates and she wanted to get involved in the community garden, because at that time we were starting to grow our actual garden in the museum. And so I invited her to contemplate if she would like to take a leadership role and be a teen leader of sciences and innovations in the garden. And she started her own Instagram page, and you can follow it and learn about extracting DNA from strawberries and climate justice on her page. So this activity really led us to do fun things. I started giving urban edible wild food walks around that time and using iNaturalist and drawing the plants and then adding a Zappar code to learn more information about those plants. So connecting with making citizen science and art come together with botanicals and flowers. And here you can see, just like 2 weeks ago, I even have a little Zappar code that another random museum visitor made out of a tile. And so we're still playful with the early uses of our VR into the ways we're using VR today. And along the way, there's an exciting project I want to share with you that is an important part of the future of Better World Museum. And it's called the VR Garden. And it started out where shortly after our last presidential election, I felt pretty downtrodden and depressed about how things were going socially and politically and online and everything. And I had just gotten my first Oculus Rift, and I drew a couple of flowers and posted a link online inviting anyone in the world to remix it, right? And a friend of mine had walked in the museum and he said, you're just going to get hate symbols and negativity, and you just open yourself up for what he said, the worst of the internet. Get ready for the worst of the internet, right? He said. And I was sure that he was wrong. I trusted in the people, and I wasn't disappointed. People all around the world, I don't know what I'm talking about there. I'm talking about the VR Garden in Facebook Spaces.
My very first drawings on an Oculus.
Anyway, I'm telling you that story, so you don't have to listen to that. But you can also listen to this presentation and more of me talking about VR Garden in Facebook Spaces or Reel, because I'll, given what I don't talk about today in this presentation, I will redo in VR and share that online. So you can watch at your leisure in a short and a long version. So this is the beginning of that VR Garden, in which it ended up people around the entire world added to the VR Garden actually it's still continuing. And first somebody from Ireland, then somebody from New York, then somebody from LA, people from every faith, people, Holocaust survivors, disabled people, homeless people. I mean, it's endless. Hundreds of people contributed to the VR Garden. It was part of a TEDx event. It was performed live in New York and Los Angeles and continues today. The VR Garden had one member, Eva Leone, added a butterfly. I had posted a link on the AR/VR Women and Allies Facebook group, and just that simple act opened up relationships and opportunities that led me here to this conference today even, right? Just by meeting new people like you, right? So there Eva was talking about her experience in Facebook Spaces. I posted in the urban edible plants and the AR flower patch. So yes, this is what I really want to talk about today. And all of that is leading up to a project in which I've been really passionate about and excited about this work. I'd like to, my purpose as an artist and as a museum is to support vulnerable voices with creative technology. And often the people who are visiting my museum are not always the most vulnerable people in the community. So I really love like Oculus Go and now this Oculus Quest and other portable ways to bring AR and VR into the community, right? So one of the ways I do that is as a volunteer mentor at the Best Buy Teen Tech Center at the Downtown Central Library. And for about a year, I was going once a week, and we would draw in virtual reality together. And I love doing that. And they love doing that. So I made, here's a little, this will tell the little story about this project. So we did this art festival. First we drew in VR and we projected it up onto the ceiling of the library, 5 stories up, and 33,000 people came to see their art. It really transformed the way they saw their safe space into an empowerment place, right? And we started, but after that event, you know, they didn't still think that they didn't know what to do with VR then next. And I would come in and they'd be using the embroidery machine and always hovering around that. So I thought, oh, okay, so we'll make embroidered AR patches, right? And so some of the young members who worked on making these embroidered flower patches and heat press ones now have opportunities working at the library. They're employed by the library. They're no longer just teen members who are going there, but now they work there. And another one who I've been drawing in VR is seeing your future in technology. So these exciting projects really, they do more than create safe space and empowerment, but they also can transform into employment and sustainability and leadership roles. And I think that I have this incredible privilege to help support voices, and it's important to make sure that those voices have no limit, right? That they go right into as far into their dreams as they can dream, and to share new dreams. So we used an app we built that app using Unity and Vuforia, and Hattie, our director of VR solutions, made a little video about her process. So Hattie's awesome. We've been working together as a creative partner team, along with Seth Gibson, who's here at the conference today. We've been creating interactive artworks together since 2015, and we work today together in many leadership capacities they have at Better World Museum as we're growing this year from I was started as a sole proprietor, and now I'm transitioning into a nonprofit, and we're also creating a giving model. We're transforming our museum this year. There's her success. I don't want to talk over her success, so I'll wait for a second. Oh, great. I'll share with you how we're transforming, but still leading urban edible wild food walks. Here's one in Brooklyn that happened last fall, and we actually found a gourd while we were crossing the street in Williamsburg, in one of those just little triangles. It was really exciting. Where people are actually eating plants from the side. But now at this, this was at the Brooklyn Williamsburg Library, where on view in the basement currently are giant posters of these targets where you can scan and watch their drawings, the urban edible plants. Which is now being turned into a book commissioned by the Minneapolis Athenaeum at the library. Let's see. Oh, I didn't mean to skip over that. Oh. So you can see we took insulation foam and using a laser cutter to burn out those flower shapes. And that's kind of really exciting. We made big ones, medium ones, and little mini ones that we could use as hand stamps. And then we print them out using not even ink, we just use some tempera paint from Target, right? What you can do for very little. There's the proof in the pudding. And then when you scan them, you can watch the teens' drawings. And now, see, this one I didn't use Vuforia for because that prototype is still just on my phone. It's not yet. I don't know what to do with it next. But now, so we used a Rise or Air Rise. That's a free app on my phone, and you can download it too. But since then, I learned that you can make 3D things using that app. So now I'm actually going to change all those drawings so they pop out like my Vuforia ones. I don't want them flat actually at all. I just didn't know I could do that until like a few days ago. And let's see, I think museum future. So this is, I'm really excited about the future. Aren't you? Right? I feel a little ambivalent. I also feel a little afraid that about climate change, right? I had many years for a long time that I was going to die. As I mentioned, I was a survivor of domestic violence. I was terrified I was going to die for a long time. And then I kind of got over that through drawing in communities with VR. And now I'm really afraid that we're all going to die from climate change, right? We're kind of silently careening into like the end of the world. I don't mean to be an extremist, but I am. It is extreme, right? And we don't really talk about it enough because we have all this fear and angst that's just like the trauma that I experienced before and feel in my body. And so like I remember it similarly, right? It's in here, this, I don't know what to do. Are we all going to die? And I guess that's really where the indoor edible museums indoor edible gardens came from. My vulnerability of not knowing what what we're going to do, right? In wartime, you know, if somebody were to find a little radish, thank goodness, right? There's something to eat. So in between my own vulnerabilities and wanting to create community and make more equitable and inclusive space, it all just seemed to make sense. So our future museum, we actually just took apart the garden and closed our museum in Minneapolis because we're now building a traveling pop-up modular museum that is AR, VR, visitor participatory drawing together, the VR garden drawing together, and eco gardens that are edible. We've created a garden tower model in which if you want your own, you can just download it because it's open source. But if you want to purchase a kit, then we match every purchase online or in like our future gift shops. As we're donating one to a homeless or housing shelter in the communities in which we pop up in. And so through a cooperating, participatory drawing together, we're collectively supporting vulnerable voices that would never be able to spend their time in airports, malls, and museums enjoying the incredible things in which we've enjoyed here so much, right? I feel an incredible privilege to try the tools and the programs in which you develop. And through that time, we can support people in our communities beautifully and in sustainable ways. Did I? Oh, and then I talk about just exactly what I just said. We have this incredible museum team that I've put together and assembled to carry us through in our work in the future. People that I've met here at these great, incredible conferences, which you've welcomed me at. And I have pins and stickers and cool clothing that you can have or scan or wear. And I just want to thank you. Thank you, AWE Conference, Augmented World Expo. You've welcomed me and inspired me and made an awesome experience. And thank you so much. So. Thank you so much. If you'd like to participate, there are several ways to do it. You can join the Drawing Together VR Garden Facebook group and participate in daily spit paints in VR. You can join a Facebook group called Garden One and get more information and learn more and participate in our smart city garden infrastructures. You can join and follow Better World Museum or me, Paige Dansinger, and any social media you like. And share our stories, learn more about us, and your voice in the garden is important. So if you'd like to remix and add to the current VR garden, it's really easy to do. I'll share a link on all social media in order for you to get into that, but it lives on Google Poly. And all you have to do is open that link, like it, and then you'll open up your Tilt Brush sketchbook and you'll see it in your likes. And I'd love to see how you remix the VR garden. Thank you. Thank you.